Alright, hey guys, welcome to my channel if you are new, and welcome back to my channel if you are a returning viewer. I appreciate each and every one of you. Today's video is really exciting, or at least I find it really exciting. So I'm going to try not to make this a really long intro, but a little bit of backstory. I basically fell off the grid for like 2 weeks. I lost a lot of motivation to just like do anything in my life, and I also was just like uninspired. But on top of that, it is also because I started watching Shameless, the USA version, and it completely captivated my life for the 2 weeks. It was all I wanted to watch. It was all I wanted to do was watch it, because the storyline and just the show was so intoxicating and intriguing and just entertaining, and I genuinely thoroughly enjoyed watching the show. And so I bombed through it, and here we are, approximately 2 weeks later, 10 seasons later. I am impatiently waiting for season 11, but now I'm bringing you guys a video about it. Today, I'm going to be giving you guys 10 reasons why I love Shameless. So, if you've never watched Shameless before, I'll give you a quick synopsis. So basically, the story follows the Gallagher family, 6 kids, and their dad is an alcoholic. He basically doesn't parent at all because he's just always looking for a way to get booze. Their mom is very in and out of the picture. She has some mental health struggles. She's also an addict. So the kids basically fend for themselves, and majority of the weight of taking care of the family falls on the oldest, Fiona. So it kind of just follows how they navigate their life. They're from the south side of Chicago, so they don't live in a really good neighborhood. It's a very low-income neighborhood, but it follows, like I said, their life and the people they interact with, and just like their daily struggles. Kind of, it's like funny but like serious at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, yeah. So these are also in no particular order. It's just 10 things. Number 1 is there is so many characters in this show, and normally when there's a lot of characters, it's hard to follow a show. It's like overwhelming to try and follow all the storylines. But every single character in the show is really different. They all have unique things to them, and they film the show, and the storyline is done so well that it's hard to explain to other people, but if you're watching the show yourself, everything just falls in line. What I like about them having so many different characters is there's kind of like a character for everybody. Like, everybody's going to have a favorite character, and it's not necessarily always going to be the same character, which is super cool, because I think that leaves a lot of room to spark cool conversations, because everybody there's so many different aspects about the show that you can, and people in the show that you can like relate to or be intrigued by. Number 2 is the storyline is so interesting. The storyline itself, when you explain it to someone, sounds really basic, like, oh, we're just following someone's life. In this show, it's just super interesting, and because there is so many characters, you're really invested in each character, and they weave their storylines all together. So it doesn't feel repetitive. There's always different stuff going on, because you're watching like these kids age, you're watching them go through different life experiences, and whether that's like big life experiences or big challenges or just smaller ones, because you are so like invested in the characters and their storylines, even if it's a smaller life experience, you're intrigued, if that makes sense. So my third reason is that they address controversial topics, or just bring light to things that you don't always see in mainstream media. They touch on like just like the idea of like how Black people are treated in America. Have a wide variety of different sexually oriented characters, which is really cool to see. They talk about like feminism. They talk about consent, which is really cool. Mental health and like the way people with mental health are treated, which is really awesome. And any character who has mental health in the show, the mental health, the illness that they have is portrayed accurately, or like with more detail than you normally see from characters with mental health. There's a lot. It's a lot to unpack, but the show basically, like I said, covers such a wide variety of topics, whereas some shows might touch on like one topic that's controversial or needs like light brought to it. This show really addresses many, many topics that aren't always addressed, which is really awesome. Number 4 goes hand in hand with that. The representation in this show is that, like, anybody, as I was just saying, anybody who wants to watch the show can find a character they can relate to or has a similar experience because they represent so many different people. It's hard not to find someone either, like, in the same life stage as you, or in, like, having the same, like, struggles with you. Like, there is so much representation for different kinds of people and whatnot in the show that it makes it really, like, really an easy show, I personally think, for anybody to relate to. Number 5 is all the actors are amazing. Some of these roles are incredibly difficult roles to play. They're not always good people. There's, like, people that you hate the character, but you're like, props to the actor for playing that character so well. And like, just all the characters do a really good job. There's a lot of emotion in this show. There's a lot of uniqueness to the characters and to who they are, and I think the actors do a really good job of fully capturing each of the characters. I've, like, heard, like, who could have played some of the actors, and I'm like, no, this is the people who played these actors were the people who needed to play these actors. Number 6 is the show is so unique to itself. The show encompasses so much that it's hard for it not to be unique. It follows a very, like I said, the storyline of it, the plot of it seems almost simple at first, but then when you add in all these characters, add all these other added elements to it, it really becomes a show unlike any other. That being said, it is based off of the UK Shameless, which I actually think adds to the fact that it's based off of that show, but it completely became its own despite being based off another show. It's like, I'm trying very hard to find another show similar because I love it so much, and I know there's only one more season coming, and then I am just going to be completely devastated because I won't know what to do with myself. So I have been trying to find another show similar to it, and it's really difficult because it is such a unique show. It's just incredible, and it's hard to find a match to that. Number 7 is the actors' family dynamic. This is sort of less about the show and more about the people working on it, but after watching the show and really falling in love with it, I started to follow the actors. I started to watch, like, interviews with them, and you really see that the people who are working on the show and then the people who are in the show care a lot about it. They care a lot about each other. Obviously, they've known each other for, like, 10 years, so it's hard not to build a bond, but they all seem to really get along. They all seem to be really genuine people that they put everything into the show. Like, they give the show their all, and they really do it justice, and I think that's so incredible, and I think it's so important for the actors to genuinely enjoy and support and care about the show they're filming. It's what makes a great show, is the people who work on it, the people who are in it, and how much they put into the show, and these actors really do. They really connect with their characters. They really put in the time to portray their characters well. They work so good with each other. They care about each other. They help each other out. And I think that's what makes the show so amazing. Number 8 is that the show is relatable. As I was saying, this is really similar to the fact of, like, the representation and, like, having all the different characters, is that this show is really, like I said, it's hard not to find something relatable to you. If you watch the show, like, when you're a teenager and then you watch the show again when you're an adult, I think you would find yourself relating to different aspects of the show. Like, because there's so many different characters at different, like, stages in their life. I feel like the sun is hitting me in a weird way. Anyway, because there's so many characters at different points in their life, struggling, dealing with different things in their life, it's an interesting show to watch at different stages of your life, because you would connect with different characters each time, and that's just really cool. And I think that just makes it really easy for people to fall in love with the show, because they become, like, dedicated and invested in the people or the things that they relate to. Number 9 is, I love how many different relationships are portrayed in the show, because seeing, especially as, like, a teenage girl, seeing very particular relationships all the time. Like, you don't see, like, the ups and downs of relationships in movies a lot of the time. A lot of the time it's very, like, basic, like, perfect love story, romance, rom-com, whatever. Relationships. Yeah, you either see, like, rom-coms, which are unrealistic, or you see regular relationships, but are still kind of unrealistic. You don't see a lot of representation of other kinds of relationships, and in this show, you see so many. The young love relationships, you see, like, gay relationships, and you see, like, lesbian relationships. You see interracial relationships, like I was talking about. You see a throuple, which is, like, 3 people, which is interesting, but you see, like, relationships at their worst, you see relationships at their best, you see relationships where someone cheated, like, you just see so many different kinds of relationships that I think it really helps people, because relationships are never going to be this, like, perfect fit in a box. Really, no relationship is perfect, and relationships are rarely easy, and the good ones aren't easy. So seeing people in these, or seeing the different characters, even the ones who stay together throughout the whole season, 10 seasons, seeing their ups and downs, I think really provides a more accurate and real idea of what relationships in the real world are like. Helps better prepare at least people who haven't been in relationships, or again, it helps people be able to relate, because it's hard to relate to this perfect couple dynamic that you see in media when you're not a perfect couple dynamic, because nobody has that perfect couple. Perfect doesn't exist, and Shameless shows that in all aspects. Number 10, and that is that things are always changing in the show. There is very rarely an episode where things just pan out smoothly. It doesn't happen. There's always things changing. There's always new things coming to light, or new characters, or new problems, or new challenges, and I think that's just, the show is such a good representation of maybe not everybody's life, because not everybody has absent parents, not everybody lives on the south side of Chicago, not everybody is struggling with everything they're struggling with, but I think if you just take away, like, all the specifics and you look at just, like, Shameless as it is, it's a good representation of the fact that life, like I said, is not perfect, it's not simple, and their life isn't, and you kind of have to roll with the punches and do what you need to do to get through it all, and still make the best of it. And I think that's what the Gallaghers do, that's what the characters always do. They don't give up. They just do what has to be done, and you know, sometimes it's unconventional, sometimes it's illegal, sometimes it's not what they want to be doing, but they stick together, they support the people they care about, and they make the most of what they have. To me, Shameless is a breath of fresh air of like picture perfect or like unrealistic TV shows. This one really just gives you like straightforward, like, life isn't perfect, life can be shitty, roll with the punches, make the most of it, and I just love it. I can't get enough. I cannot recommend it enough. If you want to dedicate your life to something for the next 2 weeks or so, start watching it. There's 9 seasons on Netflix. I outsourced season 10, but there's 9 seasons on Netflix. Canadian, I don't know what's on the American. Canadian, there's 9. So if you want to check it out, check it out. It has potential to be the best thing that's ever happened to you. It also has potential to maybe ruin your life for a couple weeks, because you might not do anything else but watch it. But if you guys have watched Shameless, if you're absolutely in love with it like I am, or you just want to discuss it or like anything like that, leave some comments down below, because as we can tell, I'm really excited about it. I'd like to talk about it. I'd love to discuss. Otherwise, you guys know the drill. And I'll see you all next week. Peace out.